We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Great game yesterday, and I got a million questions. So does Brock. But you had a big week, bigger than even the game. Congratulations, you're a first-time dad.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's exciting.
It's pretty cool. What is, in just a few days in, what has been the best part and the hardest part?
I mean, I'm not doing anything to help what's going on. I mean, I'm barely there, Steph's doing all the work.
That sounds like the best part.
Emotional support, I guess. And then, our family's in town, and our parents are doing a great job just helping out. So it's great to have them here. Maybe
the kid is some sort of a good luck charm for the run game because that looked different from what we've seen this year. What was it?
It's funny. I mean, you get these questions about, like, when we do good stuff, like, hey, what button did you push? It's like, no, we just kept doing what we said we were going to do and stuck to the course. And, and kept growing. And I think you've seen in the last few weeks some, like I've said, like there's some really good stuff on tape that just a block here, a detail there, a scheme variety here, a change up there. Like there's a couple things, and you just keep chasing those things, and you keep playing really hard, and guys stay bought in, and you run the ball hard. Then good things happen. I mean, we didn't block everything perfectly last night, but the guys played really hard. Zach and Kenny ran the ball tough and got some tough yards, and then when you kind of things hit the right way and you miss it and you break a tackle, then that's how the explosive runs show up. So we got to keep sticking to what we've been doing. Pedal to the metal, sense of urgency. I think now it's great that we have probably some more confidence in what we're doing, what we're trying to get done. So. Just everybody sticking together and working towards what we want to look like.
All those things are true. At the same time, you got 3 guys in your offensive line now that weren't there a month or so ago. I mean, there are some new faces that have come in, and how big of a difference have those guys made?
Yeah, I mean, well, all those guys are playing good football, and it's great to have continuity. I mean, like here, lining up next to the same guy, making the same calls, stacking all those reps in practice and the meetings and talking through and the walkthroughs, and we get a ton of reps through you can't do it all full speed, but it's all walkthrough, all the practice reps, everything on tape, and then seeing it in game, and they're building some chemistry, which is cool.
Salk asked me earlier, I don't think I answered it very well. I'm curious from your perspective, Coach, that gap scheme, the counter scheme just came to life yesterday. Obviously the 51-yard run, but saw it a bunch of different times. And he said, well, why doesn't every team do that more? Why don't you see a lot of counter and a lot of power and a lot of gap at the NFL level?
Well, I mean, I think, you need to be able to hang your hat on something. On most things. I mean, the league right now is a mid to wide zone to duo with some sort of perimeter answers, and then in the gun it's a lot of like RPO, and there's a little bit more gap in the gun. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. Honestly, I think a lot of teams just kind of path dependence on what they're familiar with and what they feel confident in running, and like the zone schemes in the wide, it's easy to like run off the rock. And try to like create a new line of scrimmage with the zone stuff, and it's easy to marry that up with some of the actions and some of the movements and things like that. But I don't know what the actual right answer is behind that.
Is it a good fit for Charbonnet and his style?
I think all of our guys can run the gap stuff. Zach is a fast, powerful runner. That. If he can get going, he's tough to handle. So, any scheme that kind of gets him getting downhill and getting his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage is going to be good for us.
One of my favorite moments of the game yesterday, and you wouldn't have seen this either on the game tape or certainly on the sidelines with your headsets on, but every once in a while the mics of those umpires and the officials, they pick up things, and after one of the runs, and it may have been that run, Laumea just gives this guttural yell. Like he is just loud and fiery and just like, I buried you and I'm going to make some noise about it.
I love it. That's awesome.
Does he have some of that in him?
Oh, I think he has a lot of that in him, which is that showed up as a college tape. I mean, this guy, he's a rugged, powerful, kind of and nasty man, and so just getting these reps where it's on tape now. I mean, so this is who he is. there's only, you got to keep going in the, on this trajectory, and we trust he will, because he's a heck of a kid, heck of a guy, and he's still so young, man. It's really exciting.
I've heard you say complimentary ball a few times. Brock, I know, uses the phrase a lot. What does it do for your entire team when you're able to run the ball the way you did yesterday?
I mean, we have to be able to operate like that if we want to go where we want to go. I mean, you have to be able to run the ball, be a physical offense, be a physical football team. We've always believed that. We've always been trying to do it. Sometimes it's hit, sometimes it hasn't. It hasn't been as consistent as we wanted. But you just control the game. If you can run the ball on your terms and run it when they know you're going to run it, then you got a chance. And if that's not the case, then it's tough sledding. So it's all. I mean, it's good stuff. But that's what we have to be. We have to be like that if we want to go where we want to go.
Is that part of the reason yesterday? I was trying to think the last time an O-line coach got a game ball. I think it's been a while. I can't remember one. Maybe Dave in the room can remember, but I think it's been quite a while. You give a game ball yesterday in the locker room to Scott Huff. What did that represent?
Well, I mean, I felt like our offensive line deserved a shout-out, and Scott's with them. I mean, Scott's putting in the work every day and leading those guys, and Brennan Nugent deserves credit too. But Scott is our Quinshon Odom's also in that room, does a great job. But like we've been criticized up front, and all I've seen Scott do is just keep working and keep loving his guys and coaching the heck out of his guys, and that's the type of football team we want to be and the type of people we want to have. So he's doing a great job.
It wasn't just the running game. It was the pass protection, obviously, as well. And
yeah.
Geno goes unsacked in the game, which was great. Had a lot of time to operate. We also were chatting earlier, Brock and I were, about just the number of checkdowns and throws to running back. I think it was 10 throws to running backs in the game.
Yep.
Are those two things connected, the lack of sacks and a lot of the checkdowns and throws
to
absolutely.
running backs? I mean, Arizona plays a lot of zone, so checkdowns should be available, if there's lift to the under coverage. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good checkdown. And then there's a lot of, Arizona presents a lot of problems, possible problems protection-wise. They got some exotic stuff. So, and their people kind of come from everywhere, and they do a good job of timing stuff up. So, you got to be on the same page up front. So, that's everybody. That's their coaches. That's Geno taking ownership of the protection plan. Olu does a tremendous job. The tight ends, and some of the protection answers. The backs being on the same page. KP. So all these people kind of working together to make sure it's clean, to try to give Geno an extra click so he can, get the ball out of his hands and down the field. And then obviously Geno making fast decisions and finding the open guys. It's kind of the cherry on top of the whole thing.
I think before we get to some of the defensive stuff, I'd love to play you one cut here. It won't be the highlight. There were a bunch of them, the picks, the run. There was some awesome stuff there, Mike. I want to play this cut from Geno, cut number 17. Geno Smith was talking about this group and this team. I think this also will be some music to your ears, but I'm curious from your perspective why this is happening. Here was Geno talking just about the group as a whole.
I'll tell the guys, man, it's one of the closest teams I've ever been on. Everybody pulling in the right direction, everyone pulling together, and that's the reason why we can, sustain, like you said, these wins. And it doesn't matter, who we play, where we play. All that matters is that we do it together, and I think as long as we continue to do that, man, we'll be all right.
Have you felt the closeness of this team grow?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, man, our guys, we love our guys. I just keep telling them, they've literally done everything we've asked them to do since we walked in the door. And that is not easy to do when it's some random guy in front of you, trying to tell you whatever. And I'm trying to figure out, what's the best with the messaging, like I'm figuring it out too as we go. So we're kind of this like amoeba that's just kind of growing. And I think if you doing it together and I think, like being consistent though, and like the spirit of what we're trying to achieve. Sometimes the words change. Talk about like principles versus methods. Like the principles have stayed consistent. Just constant communication about how we see things, what we expect. Keeping it real with one another without, overdoing it. We talk about like just kind of hitting each other between the eyes when we're communicating, so we're not, going around stuff. And I think I think you build trust that way. But again, the amount of work that our guys do on a daily and day out basis, the intent of what we're doing, like I really believe if you do it that way, and as coaches we can kind of keep it moving forward, there's just no way you're not going to get better. You're just like, if it's a good rep and you stack it with another good rep, like you have to be better than you were 2 reps ago, and that's kind of our job as coaches to make sure that we're on that path, and our guys are doing a great job of that. But it's like Kobe. It's like, hey man, job's not finished. Like we're, December 8th, whatever it is, we got really, 4 games left this is exactly where we want to be. And so, this is what we've been working for, is like these 2 home games coming up, against some great opponents and an opportunity to close out the division.
You've mentioned that before, the difference between principles and methods. I think it's great. I love the kind of thought process. It almost sounds a little bit like constitutional amendments versus laws, right? Some things change, but some things are sort of your basic principles.
Yeah.
Do you have that written down? Like, do you write down, here are my principles and here are the things that I believe, like for yourself, not necessarily for public consumption, but do you have like a guiding document of how you want football to be played?
I have like a ton of, you make a ton of notes over the years, and that's coming from, like, John uses that phrase in Baltimore. I put some sauce on it, but like, when he said that, I was like, man, it's so cool, because you have to be able to adjust and evolve, and you can't be stagnant in our league. You have to be. That's like the idea behind chasing edges. It's just, you got to be moving forward, man. You got to be. You want people chasing how you're doing things, and so those are just things that you're listening to these people that you respect throughout the years, and you're just kind of molding away on just what really resonates with how I see the game, and then and try to just communicate that to the people to make it compelling, so we can be all on the same page.
Hey, what did the defensive tape? We spent 15 minutes talking about the O-line, the running game, and everything else. How about the efforts collectively defensively?
Yeah, this game was a little different because we gave up the touchdown early. So with our guys, man, like the mentality we've had, they don't get phased. They just keep on plugging away and keep playing and sticking together. And I think our coaches are doing a great job of in-game adjustments and communicating with me on things that they're seeing, and I think we're working really well together right now, especially getting out of drives, giving me feedback, and when things happen, we're on top of it. So just pleased with our process right now, the mentality. I mean, I talk about the same things all the time, but like I really believe that's what drives good performances, And what's cool is it's great Kobe had production. Happy for him. Ernest with the pick. You got to catch the ones they throw to you. The pass rush, probably, we haven't talked about it yet, but you didn't feel like we had any dominant performance, but you just kind of go throughout the board, and I can think of a play that somebody made on our team that helped us win the game, which is cool. That's production. You're kind of doing your job and then some. And just as something as simple as they ran a wipe scheme, zone play that it was a good play for what structure we're in, and Hank just presses the heck out of the guard back and constricts gaps to get him to a second and long. I mean, that's that's some high-powered stuff that a lot of people don't realize, but guys just doing a great job in the role and excelling in their roles, and I think we're in a good spot that way.
I think I asked you last week about guys that were maybe flying under the radar on defense, maybe not getting enough credit. So I'll ask you about one in particular this time, and that's Roy Robertson-Harris, who I will admit I don't know a ton about. I don't know that I'd recognize him if he walked in the door right now.
I think you would, because he's enormous.
Well, compared to some of the other guys on the team necessarily, maybe I wouldn't pick him out of a crowd. But how important was his addition, maybe even specifically to the depth of that defensive line and allowing those guys to rotate in and out more freely and play hard whenever they're in the game?
Yeah, we love Roy, and thanks to John and the crew for bringing him in. He's he's tough as nails. He's an awesome guy to be around, and then I think he can do multiple things across the front. He can play the edge to the C gap, to the B gap, and we wouldn't feel bad with him in the A gap. So it's man, how many guys can do that?
What does it do for everyone else?
Well, when you're doing that, he's doing a lot of the dirty work, and then creating doing a lot of the stuff that Leo would have done on early downs. I think it's kind of defined Draymond's role, where Draymond didn't have to be a guy like where he was having to plug other places, where now he can kind of just do what he's doing really well. So there's a ripple effect kind of throughout the line, and then anytime you add in a great player to a room, then of course your depth's going to be improved in that matter, and so that's great for us. We're never turning down great players. It's our job to figure out roles and keep everybody together and everybody excelling in that way. So we're never going to turn down a great player.
And it felt like you did not have to bring more than 4 very much yesterday. What is that like as a play caller when you are impacting and affecting the game, just rushing 4 consistently?
Well, it makes it a lot easier. I know that. Look, Arizona does a great job with how they handle pressures and some of the formations they're building and some of the threats that they have. It's kind of hard to take you through the whole thing. So it's you have to be able to do it in order to have success against them, in my opinion. So unless you're ruled out differently than we are. So that's a lot of stress on the guys up front, and they can handle it. Because they're great players.
It's interesting, Salk, you asked that question. I was about to ask that same question about maybe those who fly under the radar or don't get talked enough about. And yesterday was kind of cool. They showed Durde a few different times in the TV broadcast and kind of mentioned his impact and influence. And I know last week you had some fun of him calling you the computer and everything else. But I'm just curious, as that front has just come to absolute life over the course of this season, those 4 across the board, whoever they are, have done such a great job. What is the role that he has played I know you're the play caller. What is the role that Aden has played as the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, where do I start? He can't build him up too much because, you got to keep him in Seattle. So
True.
So, really, the guy doesn't really do anything. I'm not really sure what he does.
He's just got a great accent.
And he's just I guess he's got good jokes every once in a while. Keeps it light. Talk about just people you want on your team. He's we love him, but he doesn't do anything. And then Hines, on the same token, look, Justin Hines he does a great job. This is his first time, leading a D-line room in his career. And the way he's handled that opportunity, he's done a great job. And then, Chris Partridge has never coached out the front. He's been a coordinator in his life, but he's never had a position room up front. So, what he's been able to do has been pretty awesome too. So, we have a great staff, and they're working really well together, except for AD.
Obviously. What gets you fired up during a game? We saw the sideline explode when A.J. Barner ran someone over. We saw the sideline explode when Tyrese Knight had a big hit across the middle. What gets you fired up in a game?
It's a good question. It kind of varies, I guess. Us doing cool stuff. Yeah.
Do you see little things? Are there things you coach throughout the week that when you see it play out in a game, you're like, yes, that's what we want?
You articulated that way better than I did.
I'm a radio host. That's my job.
That would be my definition of cool. Yeah, stuff that you've stressed throughout the week, that it coming to life. There was a play where I don't want to go into detail out of it, but there's a play that we coached the heck out of it, and CP had the guys ready to go on this one, and we got it, and it really, really helped us. And it's like a little chasing edges type mentality of it all coming together, recognizing what the set's going to tell you, and a guy taking advantage of it, and arguably put us in position to win the game. And it was just that fires me up. That was cool.
Do you guys come out of it pretty healthy, Coach, by and large?
So far. So far. Yeah, Sam handed me a blank sheet of paper last night, which was pretty awesome. It's good. Nice. Probably the best feeling.
Pretty good stretch coming up here, huh? Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, LA to finish out the year. That's a pretty good stretch of December football for you.
That's what it is. Yeah. I mean, is it? Yeah. I mean, this one's the big. Obviously, this one's the biggest one right now because it's obviously the next one. But yeah, I mean, we're in position where we wanted to be. We'd love to have more wins at this point. Like we felt like there were some games that we should have won that we didn't, and but that's okay. I mean, now here we are, so we got to take advantage of the opportunity that we've created.